I'll give you a few more details later, but what do you know of it? Okay, just look at the logo and that emblem over there.
The shark and
so the shark and the crocodiles. Very common over there. So shark infested waters and crocodiles. Okay.
Papua New Guinea is one of the most linguistically diverse countries in the world, with more than 8 million people speaking about 850 listed languages. It is immensely rich in culture. The country is blessed in abundance with natural resources such as gold, oil, and natural gas, through which it has a significant place in the world market. The country is rich, yet the living conditions of its many people is very poor. In Port Moresby, on the shores of Gabutu, just in front of Don Bosco Technical Secondary School, live people from different tribes in 2 communities, Gabutu Compound and Banana Block. They come to the city in search of jobs with the hope for a better living standard. They make their living from selling betel nuts, homemade cigarettes, scones, and ice blocks. The communities lack basic facilities like clean water supply, electricity, and health facilities. These are just 2 of the numerous such settlements in different parts of the country. The most affected and vulnerable of their population are the children. They lack basic nutrition and health. Most of them do not attend school. At a very young age, with the influence of the bigger boys, they start indulging in petty crimes and various addictions. At present, Don Bosco Gabutu runs a Sunday oratory for the children. The oratory receives over 100 children, their age ranging from 4 to 15. The oratory offers them a home, a sense of belonging, school, learning, church, meaning, and playground, celebrating. It is an ambience that fosters variety, creativity, excellence, unity, and above all, spirituality. They also receive snacks occasionally and medical attention as and when needed. The Salesians of PGS wish to offer them something more, what all children deserve to have, the possibility of a complete and harmonious development towards becoming a responsible and active member of society through education. Therefore, the Salesians community of Don Bosco Technical Secondary School, under the responsibility of Father Pedro Sachitula, in collaboration with the Don Bosco Missions PGS, is planning to start a literacy and numeracy program for the children. The new project is modeled after the literacy and numeracy program at Don Bosco Technical School in the Solomon Islands, which offers intensive education to non-starters with the aim to put them into regular schools. The program in the Solomon Islands has been running successfully for 4 years now. It is supported by Kinder Missions Works through Don Bosco Missions Office, Bonn, Germany. Don Bosco Missions PGS invites individuals and foundations to help us in bringing hope to these children. We cannot save the whole world, but we can be the world for those young people who are in need.
100 plus tribes and all that.
Very good.
And you all at Port Moresby. So like, which tribes were like normally then in those areas?
So Port Moresby is a little difficult place because, like Bombay, everyone comes to the city. And once you come to the city, there are conflicts because different people are from different places. In the village, you can manage, and you have your food and you have whatever. Once you come to the city, you have to work. If you do not have money, you will not eat. If you do not eat, so there's a lot of crime. Okay, so a lot of stealing. The place is not safe at all. You cannot step out. You cannot walk out of your compound wall. If you go, you have to go in a vehicle and make sure the doors are closed point to point. They could also stop you on the way and say, get out, the vehicle is mine. And if you refuse, it could be fatal. So that's the security. I don't want to go into the dangerous issues, but let's speak of other choices. Okay, somebody else has his hand up. You? Okay. Just read one line each, or there are just 10 points, so there go.
Location South Pacific Ocean.
8 degrees south,
8 degrees south.
159 degrees east. Okay, so we are just below the equator. If you are below the equator, you are in the hottest. Okay, so that's the weather over there. Next.
The capital city is Honiara.
Honiara, Guadalcanal. That's the biggest island, and that's Honiara. Okay, next.
The geography is 992 islands, 352 inhabited rainforests, lagoons, reefs.
Okay. So 992 islands, small little islands. Okay, so the tide rises and the islands sink. Most of these islands are coral islands or atolls or volcanic islands. Okay, so just 352 inhabited. So if you go to a place called Russell Islands, and I used to go, you can go by canoe. It takes about 6 hours, 4 hours, depends on the canoe. Once you are there are 100 islands. There are only 4 islands that were Catholic islands. And so I would fly sometime down to Yandina, which is one island, and then spend 1 day there, then go to Lone, and then go to Alacon, and go to Mumbai. And small little families over there. Okay. Lone was a big one, about 500 people on that island. Okay, next.
Languages is English.
Okay.
People and culture, Polynesian languages, music and dance.
Okay. In the Pacific, which is 1/4 of the world's surface area, okay, how many countries are there?
34.
So, just to give you the number, no? It's about 14, 15 countries, but then a lot of territories, okay, attached to different places, France, to America, to Chile, to Japan. Okay, so 14 countries, 3 types of countries. One is Melanesia. Melanesia. Mele is color, dark. So if you saw the little video also, they are dark. Okay, so and now there's also a blend. Okay, so that's Melanesia. Melanesia is tribes. Melanesia is violent. Melanesia is low literacy, and Melanesia is constant conflict. Okay, so that's 8 degrees south. You move into the Pacific and you come to the Polynesian Islands. Have you heard of the Polynesian Islands? Yes. And you have the dancing girls and the swaying palm trees and the white sand. So Polynesia, fair. Have you seen any of them? Definitely you have, especially during the Olympics. I don't think anyone is in the FIFA. I'm not 100% sure. Australia was there, but Australia and New Zealand are on a different line. Okay, so Polynesia, can you give me some names of Polynesia? Okay, Melanesia, 5 countries: Papua New Guinea, Solomon Islands, Fiji, which has 45% Indian, but a strong connection with Australia and New Zealand. Then Vanuatu, that we had just gone in as Salesians last year in December, and New Caledonia. New Caledonia is actually France territory. So a lot of French connection. So these are 5 countries here.
Which one was the 4th country you said?
Vanuatu. Okay. They're small, tiny countries. Okay. Then we go down to Polynesia. Polynesia has quite a few countries. To name a few: Samoa, Tonga, Tuvalu, French Polynesia. Then right down to Rapa Nui or East Islands. East Islands is the connection with Chile. Okay, so these are fair. So there's a big difference between Melanesia
Fiji, we've got Samoa. And so now they've created a vice province or a delegation. So Samoa, Fiji, New Zealand under Australia. So the people in New Zealand are also working for the island people. So there's also a big difference in mentality.
There's high literacy in Polynesia, fair, one culture, one language. And so the question is, how on the same latitude, you have people so different and people struggling to comprehend. Of course, in Melanesia, they're fighting among themselves. The mentalities are more or less the same, and I call it, we have not got into the rhythm for time. So every day the sun rises and the sun sets, but people take their own time. So life is very slow and very peaceful, especially some. Okay, go. Next, who's reading?
Language is English, Solomon Island, Pidgin is spoken.
Okay, so English is English for exchange and trade and commerce, but Pidgin is the local language to connect. It was under the British and received its independence in 1978. Okay, so that's Pidgin is simple, big, big. Then Lorem start with the U, so simple things like that. Okay, it's an oral language, written also sometimes. Most of the languages, although they say 800, are oral languages, and more for Papua New Guinea, these oral languages are transmitted from father to son, generation to generation. They do not want them written down, because when you write them down, that is their secret. When you share their secret, then you know about them, and they don't want to reveal themselves to the outside world. There was a priest, Father John Cabrillo. He sat with the Pomio people, who's a Papua New Guinea, and he sat with them, he learned their customs, he did a lot with them. Then he came out and he wrote a book and he printed them. And when he released it, they told him, burn the books. This is our secret. We do not reveal it. It's only for us. Okay, so you can see a mentality, no? So, Melanesia, Polynesia, and then above the equator we have the third type of country, Micronesia. Can you give me some countries for Micronesia? All the geography art students. Okay, just tell you, Guam attached to USA, and Nauru, I think Palau, Kiribati, and Edison Islands. Then even Hawaii is attached to the United States. No? So all these tiny little islands over there. So in the Pacific, of 1/4 of the surface, and more or less 1/4 of the surface, there's about less than 1/10 of the world's countries, about 14. You know? All with UN status, and these big powers, China, Australia, US, want to dominate it, want to control it, so that they get also the UN vote. So there's a lot of domination from outside. A lot of resources, but there is a good. Okay? Yeah. Let's go. History.
The islands were a major World War II battleground.
Okay, especially Solomon Islands, no? You've got so many islands and you have smooth waters, so seaplanes, and you can park them there. So, in 1942, just 6 months, thousands and thousands of soldiers died. Allied forces as well as the Japanese. And they died in a land that they are not even interested in. But very strategic, because the connection is there to Australia, the connection is there to fly across to Asia, the connection is there to fly across the Pacific. And even till today, 60 years, 70 years later, after World War II, they still locate bombs. Because the Japanese, the Americans, when they were leaving, they sealed them up and they dropped them. So you still have occasional bombs being found and they detoned them. Okay? So World War II battleground. Yeah.
Economy,
Go.
agriculture, fishing, forestry, tourism and trade.
Okay, so forestry, fishing, and sadly, logging is in abundance. 15% they are, at least they're saying the way it is going on, 15% of the forests have been depleted. And if you carry on like this, okay, next.
Environment, coral reefs, marine biodiversity and forests.
The fish are exceptional. When I went to Solomon Islands the first time, I even saw what is called as a box fish. And the colors and the fins. And if you see any of these on National Geographic or whatever, okay. Environment?
Environment, coral reefs, marine biodiversity, forest.
Forest, okay. Tourism?
Tourism appeal, diving, snorkeling.
Okay, and so that is tourism. You know? And you can dive down, the sun penetrates, and there is what is called as, in Solomon Islands, the iron bottom sound. Why is it called iron bottom sound? There are so many ships that are sunk over there. And the ships are sunk there, the sun goes down, so you can see the corals in all its beauty, in all its color. And they go down.
But as you said, the crime rate is really bad there. So is it a good tourism place there? The crime rate is high.
So that's sad because.
So is it safe for tourism there?
So there are quite a few alerts on these places. Papua New Guinea, Solomon Islands. Is it safe to go there? Big question. While the beauty is there, the natural resources there, is it safe to go there? Okay. Next.
World War II.
Okay. Go. Challenges.
Challenges: climate change, sea level rises, infrastructure limits, and the need for the sustainable development.
Okay, so we have what is called as these Dextinary, no? It's a delicacy for the Chinese, and it's grown over there. See, as well as you have very rare types of crabs. Have you seen the coconut crab? So head is there and the two fangs are there. And they eat the coconut. So they trap them down, put them there, touch them, but they are big. So they could even clamp your hand. Imagine them opening up the coconut. Okay? So that's Solomon Islands. Okay? I just want to share my own little experience. Okay, that is when I went in 1999 or 2000. I showed them the two photographs that you sent me. That's the Italian who was my rector. He became bishop. He just retired. That's the provincial from Japan. That's Mexican. I spoke to you about Father Pedro Balcazar, and that's the Japanese Tanaka Yuki here. Okay. I was delighted to have a little radio station in our little Tetere, which is an agricultural center, rural training center. And that is the radio station with a simple little aerial above our tent. But it was run every day for 5 years by young people. Different people would take charge of it from 4 to 6. And they would play music, they would have a youth program, they would have health program, they would have women's program. The marvelous thing was there would be a slot about 5 o'clock for information on notices or messages to be sent to the people. It had a radius of only 10 kilometers. But when you go up the hill, which was gold mine in our parish, that to go up to the mine would be 3 hours. 3 hours to go up, 3 hours to come down. Your message goes and on FM signal. So that was, and it ran for 5 years. That is Lucy, she's still teaching. Last year I met her. Okay. So that was Radio Bosco. Village life, I would walk into the village every weekend. We would either go there, stay overnight, or go for mass. My task in my few years, the first few years that I was there, every month I would go into some village across Solomon Islands. There are 3 dioceses, Honiara, Auki and Gizo, all in different islands. Gizo had the churches on islands. So the Dominicans had their house on an island, they had a formation house on the island, and it's just 10 minutes across. Okay, so this is, and different Mole and all islands, and you go by canoe, you hardly have any vehicles. That is a very difficult parish, and this rector of ours, he was flying his plane, and that plane was only for 2 people, him and a person. You had to weigh yourself and fly just low, and you would also land on the water. But the seas could get rough, the winds would get. Young people, and I have a very positive story to share. Every day I was rector in the Bosco Technical School for about 6 years, and then I moved out. So every day I noticed one boy would not come to school on Friday. And this was happening regularly. And then one day I called him and I said, what happened? He said, Father, every Friday I go to work. I go on the ship and we go to Auki. And I'm in the engine room, he was in mechanics. I'm in the engine room and I'm servicing the vehicle. We go there, one day we come back the next day. Sunday I have a little rest, Monday I'm in school. I need the money to pay my fees. And so we have young people who are very keen on study, little resources, and how they manage. And there were others also doing similar things. We had a lot of collaboration with different agencies, and one of them was APTC. APTC is the Australian Pacific Technical College. And we tried to link up. Normally the government would always link up with the government. And they had 5, their target was 5 countries in the Pacific. They were Fiji, I think Vanuatu, Papua New Guinea, and there was one more. And they wanted the 5th one. And it was the last. And so they spoke to the College of Higher Education then. And they were asking about it, and he said, well, the money that you're getting is very small. So they came to us, and I said, fine, you lower your standard. So it's APTC level 1, level 2, level 3. They want to start level 3. I said, no, you come down to level 1, you send us teachers, you send us equipment, and then we will see how we proceed. And so we started. And that is Melissa Park, Honorable Melissa Park, minister, and she was minister just for a few months, Minister for International Affairs. So she came to open up APTC, which we had in Solomon Islands. And it is at the end of its contract now, but they sent in people with 20 years experience in construction, in motor mechanics, in electricity. And so we had teachers with that background teaching our boys, and the connection between the teachers and the boys was amazing. The carpenter who was there for 2 years, on his first day, the boys of course tried all teachers. So after 1 week he came to me and said, Father, I cannot teach them. I said, what happened? And he was in tears. He said, I'm going back. I said, but you are an expert. No, everything I tell them, they say, we know. I said, now you tell them, whatever I am saying, you don't know, learn from me. And this man went back and he was there for 2 years. He completed his contract. He enjoyed it, and he was with cement and concrete, and he was teaching them foam work. I said, you are dealing with foam work on 20 floors. Over here, they hardly have 5 floors or 6 floors. Okay, so he came back for their graduation and the career. So the amount of connection that is built once they get to know. Okay, so that's Solomon Islands. Just a few little experiences of mine.
Capital, Port Moresby.
Port Moresby. Okay. Next, the location.
Southwest Pacific Ocean, north of Australia.
So it's just about Australia. In fact, that northern tip of Australia is about say 1 hour by canoe. Okay? I don't know whether there will be a map, but probably the next country in the world would be a country called Bougainville. I don't know whether you remembered it. It was on the map. It's the top little part. That is also rich in gold. And the gold mine has been shut for the past 35 years. Why? Because of conflicts. And all the gold coming into Port Street. Okay? All the gold coming into Port Street. So, it has gone to a referendum. They want to separate, but Papua New Guinea is still holding on. The people in Bougainville are dark, but they are very committed, and they are it's quite a Catholic area, and it's a diocese of there. In Papua New Guinea, we have 19 dioceses. So, they are smaller dioceses, very difficult terrain, and in the diocese of Kelema, which is our Salesian bishop, when he went in, he had only 5 priests. In the diocese of Gizo, I told you about the bishop, he had only 2 priests. I'm talking about the local priests now. Then there are religious to assist. Okay, next. Go. Independence?
Independence, 16 September 1975.
Okay, so you calculate how many years we are now. Next.
Official language or English and
English. Okay, so it's very descriptive. Okay. Ship-blown fire. What is ship-blown fire? Ship-blown fire is the lava that goes up and the smoke that goes up and comes down. So it is the waste of the lava that is burnt up and comes out. So it's a very descriptive type of language. Okay. And Hirumudu is, most of the languages are not written down. I told you they are oral languages. Okay? Next.
Culture, very rich in tribal traditions, dance and festivals.
Okay, you saw the images, you saw the color. There's a big difference from Solomon Islands to Papua New Guinea. Solomon Islands, there are more leaves and flowers and grass. Papua New Guinea, there is more paint, shells, feathers, in fact hair, all woven together. Okay, so the costumes are very rich. Okay, next.
Languages, more than 800 languages are spoken.
Okay, so it's an oral culture. No? And I told you they don't want it written down. There are a few that are written down, and the missionaries have been the ones to actually bring in 150 years of Christianity. Okay, go.
Geography, mountains, rainforests, islands, and volcanoes.
Okay, so Papua New Guinea is a big one, and then there are small little. We are on what is called as the ring of fire. Okay, with the ring of fire, there are also the plates that move, so you get constant tidal waves, earthquakes. It comes down from actually Japan down this side. Philippines gets a lot of typhoons, and so that's the ring of fire. Yes. Next one.
Economy, mining, agriculture, forestry and fishing.
So it's a very rich country, and as you heard in the commentary, very rich country, a very poor. And when we talk of poverty, the poverty over here is different from the poverty over there. So it's a poverty also of value system, a poverty of respect. One talk, W-O-N-T-O-K. One is one language. I speak one language, I belong to the same family. Okay, next.
natural resources, gold, copper, oil, gas and timber.
Okay, so very rich. What are they doing to the riches? And when we talk of corruption, I thought India was bad. Perhaps Solomon Islands and Papua New Guinea could 10 times worse. Because the money that is there is really not theirs, and most of it is also borrowed money, and they are borrowing money to land into debt where they will have to sell themselves and sell the country. And China is after that. Sorry. We'll let it go. Okay, last one.
Biodiversity, unique wildlife, birds of paradise.
Okay, birds of paradise. Okay, so that's Papua New Guinea. And this is our school. Okay, and now I'm taking you to a little. Last year we celebrated 40 years. There is the other presence which is 45 years. Very difficult. You have to go about 8 hours on a very rough road. Canoe, 20 minutes. Rough sea, and then another 20 minutes or so by a jeep from the mission. If not, you walk for 2 hours. So this is our place. I'll take you to a video. 40 years ago, we started on with this school is only boys. The short course is for boys and girls, and we have it now from July till November. And so that's where we're taking girls, just for 14 weeks, 16 weeks. We wanted to bring in girls about 3 years ago, 4 years ago. But it has to be a mental preparation and it has to be agreed. And when it was announced, I knew it was maybe not the right time, and I told the rector, I said, see, probably we are not too well prepared. He said, no, we are. The boys protested. We do not want the girls. And they even go further to say, in the mind of Don Bosco had it only for boys. That was it. So I'm hoping we can move forward, and hopefully we can also put up a little more and take things forward for boys and girls. The other schools, we've got another technical school, actually it's technological college, that's for boys and girls. In Araimi it's for boys and girls. In Kunki it's for boys and girls. In Rabaul, we've got 5 institutions there. I mean, in Port Moresby, Rabaul, we've got it only for boys. But over here it's only for boys. And sadly, it's a very male-dominated society. I'll come to the issues a little later, but thank you for the question. Work very well placed. There's the University of Papua New Guinea, there's the Adventist University. We are hoping to be a university, but I think it will take quite some time. The Technological College has degree courses, technical trade, education, or diplomas. Not us is only a school. So we have 4 divisions, 9, 10, 11, 12, with a technical slant. So if they don't, it's a big dropout system, the education system drops out. So we try to get in people, but they have to pay because we are not really, we are private. We are not supported by the government in that sense. So we have to pay our teachers from the fees of the students. And then we are trying to offer them something that will give them a job rather than go into a white-collar office work. And the ones who want to do well. But sadly, the rhythm of life is missing. So if you say, I will come, just to give you an example, 5 days of the week, we have class. One day it will rain, it will not come. Next day, the teacher has gone to get his or her salary. They are paid every 2 weeks, so the teacher is not there. The third day, somebody will have malaria, so he won't come. So you may come for 2 days, few hours. So your education is very slow and very low. You start only at the age of 7 or 8, and then you drop out, and then you come back. So our age group is pretty high, from 18 to 25, 30. And you saw the boys, no? They're quite mature.
So do they get jobs once they're done?
Jobs are there in plenty. You've got such a lot of resources. You've got industry coming in, and they want, in fact, TE, Total Energy, has been sponsoring our students, but they want the best. But if one person says, no, today I'll stay at home, tomorrow I'll go home, and then I'm falling sick, will somebody take you on to a job? And sadly, we put them sometimes into big companies. 3 months later, they say, too much. Enough. We sit at home for 1 year and then we'll see. Alcohol, drugs. Okay. 1 or 2 more questions? No. I was trying to speak till last December. This is the parish. We are trying now to build a parish. It's in the settlement. So it's 2 minutes by vehicle. 2 kilometers away, 5 minutes by vehicle. But the people are very vibrant and very generous. In spite of being in the settlement, and what they offer is food. And I didn't take too many photographs, but hopefully there'll be one. And the surprising thing is also, over there, there's some noodles and there's also toilet paper. And they bring it for offering. And we take all this and we give it, actually this is at the clinic, St. Jesus Clinic. We give it on Monday. We've got 3 centers. We collect all of it, give it on Monday. They make food, they make a meal for the AIDS victims and those who are poor. So I try to make sure that, of course, things that get spoiled, papayas and other fruits, we keep aside because that's a Sunday. The heat ruins everything very quickly. So, okay, but cabbages, coconuts and all. Then, this in the parish also, we had a little chapel last year, 25. Last year, this was in January or so. And then when I went to celebrate Mass, it rains, and it rains pretty heavily, and it was wet, and it was inside. Now that's the chapel inside. Okay, and I said, come on, now I think we need to do something, because we are putting up some little shelter in the parish. I told them now, the old ones you come and put on the windows. But after that I said, can we do something else? And then we actually built a little structure at the back of the parish. And I told him, I will give you the materials, you build it up, and hopefully. So, of course, we put in a little more. And then we went a little forward. This is their singing, okay? So we put up a little structure over here, and so it's about 4 to 6 times bigger than the small place. And then we have the blessing. It's all tin structure. So this is inside the church, and we've added now a little toilet and a little room on top. Okay, and then we have Bosco and PNG. So AI generated, of course. Okay, this is our school. And yes, a few things. Our learning center, our oratory that we saw. And one thing that I'm very happy about is our media programs. And I've been conducting it from say 2017 in Port Moresby, but before that also in Solomon Islands we had a few media programs, and they're very insightful. Okay, so this was the last media program in the month of May. Okay, there were about 9 schools, 5 students or 6 students, 1 teacher. And then I try to use it. It's not merely a media program, it's a program also of faith and reflection and what are you doing with yourself. Very nice. Okay, that's the group. Just to give you a little clip. If they want to do well, they can do exceptionally well. And if they get out of the environment, and there are no forces that are pulling them down, they excel. All this is done by the students, and their creativity and this AI, okay, that's the theme for World Communication Day. AI, voices and faces in an AI age. And that is also what we'll have. We'll have our film festivals that we have it in the theatre. And we are hoping that our young people will also be able to reflect a lot more on what is drawing them. Are they thinking? Are they critical? Are they able to evaluate? Or are they just being led? Of course, the students that were there that you saw from different schools, you saw them in their uniforms. 9 schools, top students, but exceptional. I have a few clips, but yeah. All right. Okay. Saint Peter Torot. And he was canonized last year on the 19th of October. The Holy Father came in and he actually gave an exception to say, in a land where we have little possibility to document healing and health and miracles, so he waived that in a way. Now, something about this saint, he's the first indigenous saint in Papua New Guinea, perhaps in Oceania. All the others have been priests or religious who have come in from outside. He is second generation Catholic. So his first generation, his father was the chief, and his father said, if I have to be a Catholic, I have to give up my culture and my customs, and I have to let go of my chiefly status. Because the chiefly status just puts you down and makes you do things that are. And his son, he said, I will not let him be a priest, he can be a catechist. So he went, he studied, was a catechist, and the catechist's job was to go around and preach and celebrate the sacraments of baptism, prepare them for celebrate marriages, and that's what he was doing. World War II and all the missionaries were imprisoned. So they were imprisoned, the Japanese were there, and the Japanese were in control. And he was standing up for the faith. What did the Japanese want? They wanted polygamy. And they said, it's okay, take the second wife, take the third wife. Polygamy is permitted in Papua New Guinea, but only in the village. One village. So you cannot have one wife here, one wife in Port Moresby, one wife in the Highlands, and one wife in Brisbane. Polygamy is only one. So you can have your wives. Okay? The government has only 3 forms of marriage. 1, custom marriage. 2, church marriage. 3, civil marriage. If you have to represent the government anywhere and you're going as a couple, you have to be married. Civil or church marriage. If you are custom married, now custom marriage can be even when you're 12 years, 14 years, 16 years, sadly. So they have a lot of children. When we talk of family, sadly, it's not the concept of family that we have, father, mother, and children. In my parish, I had only one family that would come to church, father, mother, and children. All the rest was single parents, or what they call as blended family. So mother will be 2-3 children, maybe from different men. Father will be 2-3 children from different men. They come together. They may be together for 2-3 years. And that's the blended family we talk about. Okay, so concepts that we have and they have are totally different. Okay, so Peter Torot stood up for the Catholic faith. And there was the Japanese, and he stood up against his uncle. And the Japanese told his uncle, and he stood up and said, no, one man, one life. And so the Japanese looked out for an occasion to track him. He was going around baptizing and all. They had cautioned him, then they took him and they imprisoned him. And while he was there, he knew that they would kill him. So he called his wife. His wife already had 2 children. The third one was born after he was martyred. And he told his wife, bring my shirt, bring my cross. I'm going to have a bath, dress up. The next day, they hit him on the head. They said, they're calling a doctor. He said, I'm not sick. They injected him. So that was Peter Torot, died for the faith. And so he's a martyr of the faith. So he stands in a very big way for the faith, living the faith, being true to young people and true to marriage. So I got a little picture for you all, and hopefully you can say that.